Here's an example of what it is doing that I don't like. It removes two spaces here. Yeah, actually I did not want this either, and I just feel like I can do this better. Not that I'm going to finish it, but hey, Otero. Let's see what I wrote so far. Fits on one page. I decided to use the command line utility stuff from LLVM. Link here for your reading pleasure. This is very nice. You just declare the different options like this, and you have them. Awesome. I have to still look at if this reading nicely or not. W format, help. Well, I have it here, but I don't think that's what I was looking for. Or is it? No, usage? No. What? No, maybe it is. Anyway, this looks good. I keep right-clicking this thing. So, don't want to right-click that. Okay, so suppose we pass. Well, actually, I asked I asked Claude to add stuff, which it did, I suppose. We paste it in here. What did I do now? Oh, that. Well, no, I just want to edit this one. Copy, paste. Clang-format. It's not compiling, or why is it not working? Very annoying. Gives me lines like that. It is compiling. So why is clang-format not working? Error detected while processing function. Clang-format. Really strange. Clang-format suddenly stopped working. Why? Maybe that could be the reason. Although this is way more verbose like this. Why wouldn't it say that before? So I'm not allowed to do this. Of course I am. It's just a macro definition. No, I must be doing something wrong. Let's just delete these things. No, now it worked. So the changes that Claude made are this div. It added a lot of headers. A lot of headers. And we added assume file name. Set file name, use to determine the language, and well, I'm also always going to use C++. Okay, we have a new option here. Option string files list file. I'm already unhappy. Help a function to read files from a list file. What the hell is this, man? Just keep it C++. Get file. Memory buffer. Now you can exit the files from input files. Is a redundant process. Files list if provided. Okay, so if this is true, then I passed that option, I guess. Yeah, okay. List all the files. No. Okay. Mostly I would say again replace it because it's just adding stuff, right? Maybe the format is a bit. So gonna move this over the old one. Where is it? Ding. And then edit it. Now we have syntax highlighting. It's a lot better. Yeah, I had a different format. I'm pretty sure about that. So I had it like this, but I guess clang-format screwed that up. Why did I even run that? It's only screwing things up. Okay, so I want output file name. Let's put the option there, and then the rest here. And then likewise, I want to do the other ones. So this is positional, and then we get say the description here. Assume file name. I have something in NeoVim that I just put my cursor over it and then I press two keys and then it converts it from a camel case to snake case, but I forgot which keys that are. Or you might as well not use Claude, because all the work that I have to do just to get the format that I want. This is an option, right? That one. Files list file. What is this expected stuff? I have just no clue. And the whole thing is also not called. Read files. Read files from list. Auto. You have not maybe files. Yeah, that's a bit lame. But maybe it's just an optional thing. So that means that whatever is returned can be converted to a boolean, and then not means that there was an error reading it. Okay. Building. Normal people call that standard optional, but yeah. So it's a thing that you can return this error. Can return error instead of what you really want to return. Confusing. So it's either a standard vector or it is something with an error in it. Is that being printed in, that error? Yeah, take error. Okay, so what are exceptions? I never heard of exceptions. It's LLVM. Okay, now let's run help. I think that this is not really doing anything. It's just allowing me to pass some string. Let's say test string. Not enough positional command line argument specified. Okay, that's the one more. So you have to specify at least one file. Say tiny.cvp. Processing one file, and then it says assumed file name is test string. So that came across. And I guess you can also pass spaces here. File with spaces. And that all works. And I can add more files. And then we have the option -I. I guess if I add that, then it will tell me that I have pressed -I. Files will be edited in place. Output file name. When did it add that back? You don't have an output file name. I removed it from the code. Yeah, I removed it from the code. Or am I complete idiot? Yeah, well gone. Okay. What was it called? Output file name. It even was still Pascal case. Okay, now it's gone. And this would be input file. So do that globally again. Percentage substitute that with input files. Oops. Yeah. Tip it again. Okay. Yeah, I have to test this one. So I want to have a file with file names. Let's say make one tube.txt. File 1.txt. Spaces file name. And yeah, I don't know. A third one. Third one.doc. Very Microsoft files. I don't know why. It's even clang-format doesn't have anything to do with that. Okay, files. You can do files is apparently not enough positional command line arguments. Well, that's not correct. It should be able to just do that. Okay, I get them once from the file and then append it the thing that you add. That's not an option, I guess. Yeah, that works. Cool. Well, yeah, that's no good. So if I just do this, then I should not give an error. My music stopped because they think I'm not watching their advertisements enough. Like I don't filter them out already anyway. Auto line is content split. Yeah, what's here? I think that I get the error because the more thing. Yeah, one more. Let's just look up what one more exactly means. Maybe there's an example that tells me how to make it optional. In this example, we use cl1 more modifier to inform the command line library that it is an error if the user does not specify .o files on our command line. .o files? Just any files, positional files. Again, this just reduces the amount of checking we have to do. Okay, what if I can't do that? Because it's sometimes I need it and sometimes I don't. Required 0 or more is the default, I guess. Optional, yeah, or a list is just 0 or more, but that's the default. Consume after modifier is described in positional argument section. If an option is not specified, then the value of the option is equal to the value specified by cl-init attribute. If the cl-init attribute is not specified, the option value is initialized with the default constructor of that data type, aka it's empty. Actually, I could maybe initialize it with a minus sign for the to mean standard input. But that would be confusing in the case that I have a files list thing. Option is not specified in the value. Absolutely not clear. I think I can just remove this. Still compile, right? No, it doesn't. Oh, wait a minute. It does, of course, but I have to just make CW format. And then now we can do this without, and that works. And if we add one more, then we get that as well. But yeah, now the problem is that if I pass nothing, it's still happy. Yeah, and why not, right? Processing 0 files, done. My program works. It did exactly what I wanted. But theoretically, we can print the same error, I think, by one, detecting that it happens, that it is the case. So I know what to do. If empty, then we print the error and then we exit as well. So something return what? Wait, no. This is the files list. You have to do it with where we print the stuff. Output. Files to process here. After this insert. So if files to process is empty, then we print the error just like here, or something, and then return 1. And the error looks like whatever you called here. This. Command line parser. I better do that, I guess. Set program name if it exists, because it told me more nonsense. Yep, does not exist. It made it up. Highly annoying. I'm going to say it doesn't provide it. You can't have code duplication, so let's just add it somewhere here at the top. Yeah, it's string little, so why not character const pointer? Yeah, this must also be a string. Could use a define, and you can concatenate it here. I'm not sure what the option category takes as string ref, probably. Nobody knows what that is. No, never. Thought maybe I have it in the C text there, but probably not. And we have the error back. Exactly as it was before even. Okay. So now I have a list of files, and now we want that to do the following. For every file, I mean, I just have a bunch of files, but in the end the program should do the exact same thing for each file. Yeah, so now we're going to a single file, process single file. I don't think that clang-format is printing anything while doing stuff, while doing that stuff. So let's just remove this. Or maybe leave it in before debugging, but let's just print that then in my to-be function. So we're going to have a loop. Are you telling me that this is not a standard string? No, it's a const reference. So it's whatever is stored in files to process. Oh, that is a standard string. I don't like auto or not. I want to know what that is. So these are const references to the elements of this vector. And then we just do process input file. However, eventually it should work with standard input, because I want to, yeah, more or less maybe make a drop in for clang-format. But you'll do that now. So suppose that you, oh wait a minute, I think clang-format works with nothing at all. So this error is not good. This error is not good. For example, if I do int main, int x, int y, standard cout, full, all on one line. We piped it into clang-formats. That there's a reads from standard in and writes from standard out. Thus, no arguments is good. Is it possible to write to a file to specify an output file? I post. If no arguments are specified, it formats the code from standard input and writes the result to standard output. So that has no option for that. If minus I is specified together with one or more files, then the files are added in place. Otherwise, the result is written to standard output. Aha! So it just concatenates stuff normally. So if, say, we have one input file, input, what was it called? Foo? I have two input files, I mean. So the standard not an exit, of course it is an exit, and it probably takes an argument. Yeah. So I do clang-format, and we pass two of them, but no minus I. It just dumps one after another. Okay, yeah. So processing a single file then means that we have to pass it an O stream that it can write to. And in the case it is in place, you have to already open the file. So I think that we have to open the file, and then pass an I stream and an O stream to our single file processor. Then it reads from the it reads from the I stream, which then is either standard in or a file that we opened, and it writes to the O stream, which is then either a temporary file, I guess, because you can't write to the same file you're reading. And that must be a temporary file. So it writes to a temporary file or standard out. And then upon success, we have to, when it is in line, we have to also move the temporary file over the input file. Or no, let's do it differently. I think I copy, nah. Let's move the input file. Nah. Well, let's just investigate what the clang-format does with strace. So now I have to do a minus I then. Minus I. And I'm gonna run this whole thing in strace. Strace, do minus, maybe create children. What is that? Follow forks. Write to strace out. Something like that. Okay, did it in place. Yup. And we have only one file here, strace out. It opens the file, reads it. First it reads one file and then it looks for the clang-format that belongs to that file. Okay. I thought that if it found one file that you can use it as an amend, so it should also look for this file in the parent directory, and then in that and that and so on. It doesn't do that. I thought it would do that. So apparently it just stops as soon as it finds any clang-format. You cannot inherit the... it does do that here, you see? But that's because it doesn't exist. So there is nothing here, and then it goes to the parent. But as soon as it finds a file, in this case this one does exist, then it stops apparently. Okay. And then it opens for writing a temporary file. And in the end it does rename if it works. Okay, so we read from the original and then and we write to in the temporary. That's what it does. And yeah, let's do that too. And this looks like something made with stream. Yeah, I don't know. That was a make temp file or something, and then with a certain prefix. Probably exists. So yeah, let's do that. So we're going to open the file. I'm going to assume that this file is already file name. I'm going to call file names file name instead of file, and then we use file for the stream. So you have to open the file, or that inputs file stream. It's called iFile. I can immediately pass the file name here, but no, why not? Super plus. I almost feel for this guy who's writing this, because nobody wants to read the website. Well, at least that's what I hear, and I don't, so. And he just decade after decade he keeps putting time into it, so it's really to cry. It's I feel for the guy. Nou ja, open. I might as well call this, right? Now this is oh no, I look at O stream. I wanted to look at I stream. Well, I was looking at O stream, but I want to look at I stream. So you see that this thing, just because of this I here, you pass the open mode by default, that it opens it for input. Mode, seek to the end before it's write. We're not even writing, we're reading. Open in binary mode? Nah. Or maybe, you know, if I just want to, I want to read this character by character, I think. Yeah, you never know what you'll encounter. Let's just read character by character instead of, I mean, otherwise I would have to. You can open it as a non-binary thing, but then I have to use an interface that reads binary anyway, so just bytes. We're not going to use the operator larger than. That would do stuff like skip white space and all kinds of stuff that we don't. That would make us lose information. Might as well begin with treating it as a binary file from the beginning. So I think I want to have the binary as well. And this is, I get a bit mask type. So we need to do an bitwise OR with the out then, or the in. I'm still not certain if I want to do the binary thing, but yeah, probably. On the other hand, I'm also not going to read characters, so... yeah, well, actually I am. But I'm gonna use get or something. Get C. Let's just go to iStream. I mean, this thing is derived from iStream. Yeah, you have of course access to the underlying stream buff. But maybe that's a bit much. So we have an unformatted is this. This is basically the same as binary. So I'm just gonna call get, I think. Get and peek maybe sometimes. Or I read the whole line. It's faster. Read the whole line into memory and then process it. Or hell, maybe read the whole file in memory and then process it. Probably the best thing. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a series of get lines. But that would only be interesting if I want to store it line by line, which is treating the new line character very, very specific. You can also just call read the whole thing. Stream size count, yeah. It means you have to, in advance, discover the sizes of the file. And then you can allocate a buffer that's large enough, and then just read everything into it. This is, of course, has been done a billion times, even by me. Well, not a billion times by me, but at least 10 times. But I keep forgetting how to do it, so I'm going to ask the AI here to do that, especially because it has been done so often. Well, not yet. Currently, I just want to have an OStream open. Okay, we need to get a temporary file name. So get temporary file name Linux. Make temp command. How to use make temp. There's absolutely nothing C++ specific, I suppose. C++ temp file. To use temp file returns a reference to a file object, a pointer I guess, from which you may access the temporary file. This will be opened with WB plus mode, which means it may be read. It's so not an output stream. It's a file pointer. No, I don't want temp file then. Definitely not. I just want a temporary name. How do you get the file name of a temp file? No, I want only temporary name. Temporary file. How can I get the temporary file name? Standard temp nom. Oh no, that sounds so like I want to have it. Creates a unique file name that does not name a currently existing file. Awesome, that's what I want. It's super racy. Because as soon as it returns it, the file didn't exist, but you never know what happens after that. Maybe it does exist before we even try to open it. But I'm not worried really about that. And there's also a stem file. Creates and opens, but that returns a standard file pointer. I don't want it. I don't want that. I really need an O stream, right? Well, I don't really need an O stream. We could just pass that and work with that, I suppose. FS put S works with it. Seriously? C++ can work. Well, this is C style IO apparently. It's a bit dirty. But yeah, in the end, it would work. We just do C style output. No, I'm not going to do that. I feel tempted though. This is C stuff. No, I'm not going to do it. Let's not use capital file pointers. Yeah, well, this is the one then. There's also C standard IO. Yeah. But we can use it. Creates a unique file name that does not name a current existing file and stores it in the character string point. Holy memory unsafe. Pointed to by file name. The function is capable of generating up to temp max of unique file names. Oh. But some or all of them may already be in use and thus not suitable return values. Standard temp num modifies static state and is not required to be thread safe. If you want to have a thread safe, then use no, it doesn't exist. Hi Devilman. Devilman the anime. Yeah, I liked it. Plus, this is not capable of not allowing us to create our own prefix, apparently. This is just a directory. Okay, let's ask the big gun. My biggest gun currently is this one. My last question. It took 8 minutes and 9 seconds. Investigating 57 sources, 57 web pages. That's research. Oh yeah. Okay, let's do this. I want to create a temporary file in C++ 23 or lower. That begins with the prefix how did I call that? How did I call that? How did... Not an hour now. It's several minutes, yeah. I don't really need a unique path, of course. You can just generate a unique file. Actually, I don't even need any directory. I just want to have the file name. However, it must be related to a path because I wanted to check if the file exists. Yeah, that seems to be the one, I think. Boost file system unique path, what was it? Unique path that exists. The nice thing about Grok is that it really investigates using the web. So like Claude is just making things up. Like that, well, that sounds nice if it would have existed. And then it tells you, yeah, use this, and then you use it, and it doesn't compile, and then you look at the documentation, and it simply doesn't exist. I've yet to get that with Grok. It does an extensive research, and then it tells you something that exists. Creating a temporary file in C++ with a specific prefix and okay, that was the last question I could ask. And ensuring it can be opened with retrievable existing libraries. Here's a straightforward approach using Boost file system, which is cross-platform and reliable. Using Boost file system, Boost file system offers unique path, which generates a unique file name based on the model you provide. Good temp file name. Yeah, they're all very helpful. This generates a file name starting with your prefix followed by random characters uniqueness. No. Strange that they didn't copy that to standard file name. Standard file system. No. Yeah. I see no standard file name equivalent of Boost file name unique path. Unique path was removed because it was a potential attack vector for malware. There is a window of opportunity between calling a unique path and opening a file at that location, during which other process could create the same file, depending on what the user does with this file. This may or may not constitute a security vulnerability, as similar issues exist with POSIX function tempnum. Yeah, so that if I would throw my whole arsenal of my personal libraries at it, I can work around this. But I wanted to write something that is independent of all that. That is so much code, so we can't do that. That would involve some unlocking mechanism that also uses file logs and stuff. So you generate something and then you create a file log and then you test again if it exists, having that log. Does it even work actually? No, you have to log the file itself. I'm not sure how that... No, actually it's cooperative, isn't it? Is there a way to prevent other processes from creating a file? Using file logs? I don't think so. Probably not, no. I mean, you can open a file for writing and at the same time someone else can do the same thing. It's just a fact. So you'd have to open it with as a user, as the root user of something, and then so others cannot write to it. Not going to do that. Apparently file name is a single word. At least according to the LLM. And if it knows something, then it is language. Okay, what header do we need for the boost stuff here? So I guess boost file name, file system. That should do the trick. I think that needs linking as well. Oh my god. Probably do that here. File system. Nope. What? Boost. Nope. Boost. Nope. Where am I? Maybe we should go to source. Boost. Boost. Don't tell me I'm not using boost in this monster of a thing. Impossible. No, I can't remember where I use boost, so I can quickly look it up. Therefore, we ask Claude again. What do I need in C make lists dot text for boost file system? Oh, neither boost nor boost, it's boost. Maybe you can still find it then. Boost. No. Also not. Still we don't find it. Okay, now I'm mad. Find. Projects. Name. Make. Sorry. C make lists. Make list. Dot text. Execute grep. Boost. No, well, yeah, that should work. Maybe not actually. On second. Yeah, file system. Even utils is already using it. You gotta be kidding it. So that means we just have it. Because I'm already linking with utils. Probably should be looking for file system as well. I'm not sure about this. Grep file system. Yeah, this is how you do it. Find package. Copy. And then we go back to where we were. TICM. And then we have to link with it. How do we do that? It just finds it and it does nothing with it. So maybe that is in the source then. Nope. Gotta be fucking kidding me. Same thing. That's how we do it. Target link libraries, public boost file system. Target link libraries. Already have that here. Make it public. I think I don't need system as well. We'll see, I suppose. Well, oops, wait a minute. For a start, this should compile. I don't know why I run configure, because if you run make, it should configure it again anyway. CW format. And then it complains about that. There we are, a temporary file name. And I bet it doesn't exist. But is it checking that? Oh, we just run S-trace again. Oh, which S-trace needs, of course, the full path, the real path. Well, that's not nice. It's not checking if it exists. It's totally not checking if it exists. Simply generating something random and then hoping that it doesn't exist. Oh, whatever. It does an f-stat actually here. Oh, it's inside the dot dot dot. I want to see it though. I can make this longer. Something with string width or something. String. String limit, string size. So this is the maximum string to print. I'm not sure that it was a string. I thought I was looking for width. Minus S. I know that it's what I want. Do minus S to 56. And still it shows dot dot dot. Okay, let's ignore it. It's just big enough anyway. I mean, we have like this many hex values. It's totally going to be temporary, even without check. Okay, we have a file name, a temporary file name even. Oh, that's why it couldn't check it, of course. It's just a file name. It's not a full path. Well, all my input file names relative, or does it matter? It's interesting to check. Let's say if I pause, no, that doesn't matter. If I check for something with a full path. Again. Nothing changed. Well, if you have to do it in place, then we must be able to write to the current directory. Not necessarily, however. Theoretically, it's possible that you can open an existing file, truncate it, and then write it again, but not that you're not able to create a new file. But let's ignore that problem. I'm just going to write my temp file to the same path. So we just do this file name plus something. And that's my output file name. If this fails, does it throw an exception? Or does there some kind of error that I can read from somewhere? I think it should throw an exception, right? And on this side again. Only says that it calls filebuf open. It does not throw an exception apparently. No pointer on failure. But see, let's do the open thing ourselves. I like this more somehow. That's for binary outputs. They don't print the error here. That's pretty annoying. Standard system error. No, this thing is using an exception. Never heard of exceptions. Oh, it exists. Exceptions. Gets and sets exception mask of the stream. The exception mask determines which error states trigger exceptions of type failure. One returns exception mask, sets exception mask to accept. If the stream has an error state covered by the exception mask, when called, an exception is immediately triggered. Maybe this is already the error then. Well, you can do it afterwards. Okay, so we open the file, and then maybe the fail bit is set. Still, I don't like it. Let's use this. Sorry. Let's do it the other way around. Oh, you could. Yeah, I mean explicitly calling open. So I'm gonna put the file here, but then without opening it. And then you can do output file, and then set the exceptions. We have both fill bit and bad bit. Why not? You would say there's more of those. I have the habit of not doing spaces around a bitwise operator, but yeah. And then we try to open it, and that then might throw catch. Is that a system error? First time I see that. But hey, if it compiles, we'll see. Yeah, and then continue or abort completely. I think continue is more reasonable if you have multiple files. You already did a few, so why not try to continue with the rest as well? Okay. Now it created it, no problem whatsoever, right? Do I know for my head how to run this as nobody? As you, user? Dude, my memory is non-existent. It's so bad. I used this less than a year ago. I'm sure of it. Command. I think that's your user and then minus C. As you nobody. Minus C, who am I? No, but okay. Sudo sudo. Password dat past. Account currently not available. Well, so much for sudo. I don't have another account. Oh wait, I know the trick. We cannot create files in the root. Way easier. I just run it as myself. Ta-da. There. IO stream error. Oh no, that's a clear. That's clear. Yeah. See, very clear error. Okay, the error what is the most horrible thing ever. And the other thing was e-code message. Never heard of that. Never heard of that. Error code message. Make. Nope, IO stream error. Yeah, that won't work. That won't work. Let's just put it here and then. So the standard thing. I'm just guessing. I think the normal thing is error no, or no, this is probably nothing. The header existed. Yeah, I'll go to bed in 20 minutes, so 1 a.m. It's not STD error number apparently. I do need that indeed. It is just error number. Oops. I don't think error number will be overridden if you do this, but on the other hand, I think it might be overridden with 0. Even though you don't have an error, I'm not sure. Permission denied. Ta-da, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Yeah, that's good enough for me because it's getting only later. And then I guess if the directory does not exist, you can test that too. No dir. No such file or directory. No, that's good enough. Okay, I think the bad bit is more for you try to read from it already, or you're definitely not reading yet from it. But maybe while reading from it, something goes wrong, so might as well keep that one. I mean, every error must be turned into an exception, right? Otherwise I would totally miss it. Now I'm going to call process file from here as well. So if then something goes wrong with this O file while reading from it, then still we get here. Just throws an exception then and then we get here anyway. But then we are in the middle of reading, so that's not a fail to open then. Not anymore. So maybe I should not call that here. Just do the open and then etc. But I want to keep this. Well, now the question is, we want to do it cleaner. The question is if bad bit can be set as a result of calling open. Which of these bits can be set as a result of open? Yeah. Standards output fstream open. So bad checks if a non-recoverable error has occurred. Fail checks if an error has occurred. I have to still call clear, I think. If I continue. No, it's not true. We'll open a new file. Phil and Bed are the only ones, apparently. I can't even find open. Okay, it calls fill bit on failure, so it doesn't make any sense to set bad bit here, because it's never going to be set. And then if you get here, it's really failed to open. So now we can continue. But it means that here we have to literally continue, because otherwise we end up here, and we don't want that. Just continue in the next file. Okay, so then I do the standard input file fstream. I mean, input file, and then we do try, and then basically the same thing, but a little bit different. Zip. Zip. Bloop. So this is just file name. Yeah, but for Okay. Now we still have the problem that this, of course, uses temporary file names, which is only if, which I only want to do if we don't have the -I passed. It's not in place. That is being tested like this. So if in place is set, then this is correct. But if in place is not set, then I don't even want to try to open a file. So I only want to do this if something. Now, if not in place, I guess. Sorry, the other way around. If in place, you want to do this all the way up till and opening the stuff. And then here we use O file. That doesn't work anymore. So, but okay, the only thing I need of that is an O stream. So I can just do O stream reference. Let's call this output stream. And I can set it to OStream, but that is OStream is immediately closed and terminated here. So OStream must be kept alive, or just declared here. Why not? So either I set it to OStream, and that is not possible because there's a reference, which must be initialized immediately. Yeah, it must be a pointer. There's no way around it. But here I want to pass it as a reference. I don't know, just dereference it again. Yeah, I guess I just do the else here. So otherwise we write to standard out. I think that takes care of the in place. And then for the I stream, you can do the exact same thing actually. Namely, if this thing is empty, faster process. So instead of giving an error, it is allowed, and we're doing, if it is empty, I'm just going to push back something that I can recognize. Push back standard in. Yeah, faster process is a string. And then if we come here and the name is this, then we must use a standard input. Yes, to do the same thing here. If something, we do this. Current name, if file name is unequal standard in, then we do what you did. Else we set input file, input stream I mean, equal to reading from standard in. So here we set to reading from the I file. Is that correct? We can declare it as a default, why not? And then of course we can pass theoretically a minus sign ourselves. I'm not sure if that, yeah, that should work even together with other file names. So let's allow to a minus sign as an input. But yeah, that would be simply part of the files to process then. Now, if it is a minus sign, however, what temporary file do we use? So the result of that should always be written to standard out. Is it kind of weird to have, say, multiple inputs? No, maybe not that weird actually. I mean, even the output, it concatenates to the output. So kind of like if in place and file name is unequal minus sign. Actually also this one. File name is standard in, it's the same thing of course. You should just skip that. Let's do it differently. I could use a minus sign here, but I feel that's not correct. At least this name with the angle brackets is not possible, or actually it is possible. You could pass that as an argument. Oh well, people can screw it up. Now, if we want to fix that, then I have to. Are these legal file name characters though? I doubt it. I thought that every character is allowed in every character except a 0 maybe is allowed in a file name, really. So you could pass this as an argument, and then you just have to open that file name. And in other words, this is just silly. You have to do it like this. Yeah, what the fuck. But no, then we don't enter this loop. Ugh. Now then I just make this a function already. Yeah, so I need a function like so I'm no longer going to look at the file name to determine if it is standard in or not, because that basically cannot 100% reliably work, because you can specify whatever you want. Although a minus sign, maybe I should just disallow using a minus sign as a file name. It's just not possible. If you really pass a minus sign as a file name, then it's just going to be converted to standard in, and then the result to standard out. But you can pass, say, nothing, or well, maybe if you use a minus sign in the file list. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, now the file name can be anything, and the boolean is going to tell this function if it is a standard in, or it should be standard in or out, and it doesn't matter what this file name is. We just interpret it as a file name always, completely 100%, unless that boolean is set, of course. And then I can just move all of this into here. Oh boy, where's in how's in oh no, in place is static up here. It's not static, but it's a global thing. So we can just use that here. So if in place and not use standard in out, then we need to use a temporary file. Then we do then the will. I mean, we only use a temporary file instead of standard out if it is in place, and but also when this boolean is not set, right? I mean, yeah. Maybe we should go to bed, and it is 1 a.m. Why am I so confused? Okay. If in place and not use standard inode, then create a temporary file, because you only want to create a temporary file when we work with real files, not standard inode. Yes. By default, we set this to cout. No, that looks good. And then here it is. So when do I write to? No, when do I read from input file? For this one file, right? Well, whenever this is not set. If I have to read from something, so if I don't read from file name, then I read from standard in. Which means that if I don't read from standard in, then I have to use the file name and open the file name. This should work. I want to turn this one around. Now, is this thing going to throw an exception or just return true or false? Kind of depends, right? If we fail, it probably fails somewhere deep down. And then the easiest thing is you just throw an exception. So let's assume that we throw exceptions here as well. Let's call that, I don't know, the runtime error. And yeah, normally I would just print the error here, but like I said, I want to make a standalone program. I can't use my own libraries, utilities, and nothing. And I'm gonna regret that like crazy, but that means we don't have an error here. Or I have to make a special exception, and I'm not gonna reinvent the wheel. I already have that special exception, but I don't want to use it. And if this does not throw an exception, then we get here, and then you have to do the rename if we are not using. If you are using, if you're using a temporary file. So if you get here, which means that this is true, so this is false. Which means that it was false here as well. So we use both input and output. And this is a file name, and we need to move the temporary file name to the real file name. So this thing must also still exist. I'm gonna put it at the top, I guess. Okay, rename temp file name to file name. How to do that? Boost probably. Boost file name. Standard. Nah. Standard file system. Pretty sure about that. That should be able to do it. Probably standard file system rename or something. Standard file system. I'm gonna guess rename. Cool. Yeah. Just exists. Parameter return value non-exceptions. Any overload not marked non-accept may throw bad alloc. Ugh. That's not a runtime error, is it? Throw standard file system error. Set standard error code. I also have road code, to handle all this standard error stuff things. But it is 8 past 1 AM and I should have gone to bed. I think it is just, I just have to stop streaming. Continue this tomorrow. You have to investigate if this is a different thing or that it is derived from inheritance diagram. No, it's derived from exception. So runtime is something else. Okay, this is also a runtime error. But yeah, you probably want to catch it as a file system error, and then really print the real error, right? So you have to look into this again. Yeah, it is a whole series of catches. The time you lose with this formatting stuff. Oh, that's why I'm writing. That's why I'm writing a formatter. If I can just paste AI stuff in my editor and then reformat it again, and again, and again. And it is formatted exactly the way I want, so it doesn't change anything that I already have every time, like that happens now. Well, I had this one here, I think. Actually, everywhere. So not working. Oh, already I was already on the page. Old new error code. If you want to have the error code, maybe you have to pass it to get the error code. But the thing throws. Two sets an error code parameter. It executes EC clear, no errors occur. So I think it throws it. Yeah. So if I pass it, it doesn't throw this, I think. Well, let's use exceptions. Examples. File system path. Yeah, I don't have a file system path. Is that a problem? I have just a string. Should be using file system paths. Dum, 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 dum. This is probably not going to compile. Even worse. It's 100% broken. Concat. There's a plus equals and not a plus. That is weird. No examples. Where am I looking at then? Yeah, strange. No, I'm gonna click on concat, I guess. For append? Nah, append's an element to the path. It's a directory separator. I don't want it. Concatenates two paths without introducing a directory separator. This is what I want. Yep, there's no. You just have to use plus equals. Or concat. Examples. P1 dot concat. So 7 basically. Appends path native to path name stored. This directly manipulates the value of a native and may not be portable between operating systems. Shit. Oh wait, I only support Linux anyway. Well, it's a bit weird because there is no P in 7. There is a P in 1, that's about it. So if you have a path, then it calls a native on it, and otherwise it just takes a string. So I think the whole talk here is not portable, it's only about 1. Really weird. Really weird. Okay, let's just use the plus equals. Then we're gonna use that one. Yeah, I have to convert it to a boost file system path though. I think. Probably. Not sure if that will work then. So model plus equals character const pointer. That should work. I'm gonna assume that boost file system has that too, of course. And the temp path thing, yeah. Why would I do that? Return both file system unique path and model. Still dubious if this will compile though. Or this. Now I'm converting between the boost file system and standard file system. Doesn't feel very portable. It isn't. Well, at least. Yeah, no verbal conversion from standard file system path to boost the file system path. Now I could of course just work with boost file system paths all the way. No, that's not what I wanted. This is about differences, not how to convert them. The title not saying converting, but they mean your code has boost and now you're going to convert your code to only use that. It's totally not what you want to do. Okay. One LLM coming up. Ah, come on. Since boost file system isn't even checking if the file exists, we check that with asterisk. It's just string manipulation. Why would they even use a boost file system at all? Although I'm not 100% sure, right? It did an fstat with a dot 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 somewhere, so it's not super clear if it checks if the file existed or not, I have to admit. Could do that myself though. Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed. It's a half hour later than I said it would be, so not good. Continue this tomorrow.